Hi Divine Souls, this is Nala Nguyen. Welcome to Twin Flame Journey 3D to 5D. This channel is about love, relationship, and twin flames from a 5D perspective, which is a spiritual and galactic point of view. So I want to dive in this episode and share with you some more important insights regarding narcissists, empaths, and super empaths. On this twin flame journey, it's going to be incredibly beneficial for you to understand these type of consciousness, the type of personality that comes with this type of consciousness, because it's going to allow you to be able to understand the other person you're dealing with. It is also going to allow you to be able to relate to them a lot better. When I didn't have this knowledge and I was going on my twin flame journey, it was a huge nightmare to understand my twin flame, because I knew I was dealing with a narcissist. When I first met him, I even called him out and said, "You're a narcissist." But I truly didn't understand what that label really meant. I just knew that this is a person that was kind of self-absorbed. They talked about themselves a lot. He was really into talking about himself all the time. I really didn't understand that this is a huge personality disorder that affects other areas in his life, and it also affects his consciousness and his personality. I knew he was bipolar, but when I dived into bipolar, I also had a deeper understanding about that condition. But regardless, I had very little awareness about empaths, super empaths. What do all these roles and dynamic mean? So on this journey, I'm going to share with you the insights of these different types of consciousness and the personality traits, so that way you can understand it and relate to it on this twin flame journey. So when you have your divine counterpart down here on earth, I'm not talking about the connections where you're here alone. Those twin flames, you guys have a different type of mission. The Ascension journey is still the same. You'll have to go through the same process in healing yourself, ascending your vibration, and reconnecting with your higher self. But I'm specifically dealing with the twin flames that have their divine counterpart down here. One of you guys is going to be a narcissist. The other is going to be an empath. It's been like that for a lot of the couples I've come across. Maybe there are some other connections where the twin flame may not have this type of severe mental health problem, the spiritual health problem. Maybe they just have some personality disorder, like some narcissistic traits. They might not be full-blown narcissists. It really depends on the personality, how unhealed they are, and how compromised they are on the 5D level. Before this video, we're talking about the ones that are very, very compromised and unhealed, where one of the twin flame is completely in the dark. They are the dark twin flame, and the other one is in the light. What I've come to notice is that the one that is a narcissist, they're not only just a regular narcissist, but they are a covert narcissist, which means they are much harder to detect. They hide their intentions. They hide their true self a lot. They don't really know who their true self is. In order to recognize a covert narcissist, it's extremely difficult. You really have to understand the personality traits of a covert narcissist, so that way you can detect these people early on. And the reason why you want to be able to detect these people early on is because they are very toxic and damaging to you on a psychological and emotional level. If you allow them into your heart space and you let down your guard and you're emotionally vulnerable to them and you fall in love with them, they will do a number on your heart chakra, and they will take you for granted. They will lie, cheat, manipulate on you without a shadow of a doubt. So this is extremely painful and traumatic to go through. So it's very important for you to be able to recognize these people early on in your connection. If your twin flame has these traits, just know that you can't completely be vulnerable with them, because they will actually take advantage of your kindness. They will take advantage of your vulnerability, your honesty, your transparency. They will take all of those good energy and use it against you. So here are some key traits that I'm going to share with you, so that way you can understand and recognize a covert narcissist. They're usually passive aggressive, and people who are passive aggressive, they have these type of behaviors. They procrastinate, they're late all the time. They don't take any type of accountability when they make mistakes. They miss deadlines. They don't fulfill their promises to you. They withhold critical information, so they give you a very distorted, manipulated version of reality. So that means they get to control your reality. They get to control the narrative. They want you to believe what they want you to believe. So it's like a very edited version of reality. So what they portray to you is not really reality. It's just a mask. It's just an illusion. They keep you living in an illusion, in their little fantasy they've made up for themselves. So that way they act in it, and then they allow you to play with them in their reality. And they do that by playing with your consciousness, your heart, your feelings, and your head. They also underachieve relative to what they are capable of doing. So there's a long list of actions and behavior of a person who is passive aggressive, but this is one of the number one trait of a covert narcissist. The other thing you want to look out for is that they have a condescending and superior behavior. Either they can be condescending towards other people, and they like to think they're better than other people in some areas. They can be completely self-absorbed and self-centered, meaning that in a conversation, they'll either dominate the conversation, they'll take over. They like to really talk over the other person. They don't allow the other person to fully express their point of view, say their point. They're always interrupting their conversation. It is extremely difficult to emotionally connect with this type of person, because when you're trying to be emotionally vulnerable with this type of person, they're already interrupting you midway, and they make the conversation about themselves. So in the middle of you, let's say, sharing your feelings about how you were hurt by this person, what they've done to let you down, they'll cut through midway when you're describing your situation and your feeling, and then they're like, oh, but I feel the same way too, and this happened to me, and this happened to me, and I feel this way as well. I'm also traumatized. This is a covert narcissist, okay? They make everything about them. They're completely self-absorbed and self-centered. They are not capable of understanding another person's point of view. It's all about their point of view. And when it comes to listening to the other person's perspective, they are always invalidating the other person's perspective. They don't consider other points of view as being valid. Only their point of view is valid. Another key point to help you identify these type of consciousness is that these people live in an alternate reality, a fictitious fantasy reality. Just like children. Children, they have a make-believe reality they go into, they believe and they live in, and then they don't even know the difference between real life versus a fantasy. Narcissists or covert narcissists are the same. Okay, they actually don't know and can't differentiate between reality, real reality versus the imaginary reality they make in their head. So what covert narcissists do, and actually all narcissists, what they do is that they make up another version of reality in their head, a fantasy, a deluded fantasy, and it removes all the facts of the situation, and then they continue to say this narrative, this story, because all it is just a story. It's not really real, because it's not based on facts or anything. It's just a narrative, it's just a story. So what they do is they relive and they retell the story over and over and over again until they believe it, and they actually emotionalize it, so that way for them it's really real. So I'll give you an example of my twin flame. He really perceives our connection as being like a true, serious relationship, like we had some type of an exclusive relationship. Meanwhile, from my perspective, it was just a connection where we had intimate connections, intimate relations, but there was never any discussion, any commitment to each other to be exclusive. We never had these type of discussion to actually be together like that. He chose his wife to be with her, and then the relationship dissolved, and then he manipulated me emotionally to continue sleeping with him. That doesn't make it a real relationship. You're just emotionally lying to the person, manipulating the person in order to have your ways with that person on an emotional and sexual level. This is not a real relationship because it's based on lies. Any relationship that's based on lies, where you're not fully transparent, open, honest with the person, this is an illusion. This is a fantasy. And my twin flame would live in this deluded version of reality, and he would tell to himself that we are a couple, we are together. Meanwhile, I'm like, wait a minute, this is not a relationship. We never had a discussion to be exclusive or to be committed to each other. None of this stuff ever took place. But I'm giving you some examples to share with you that this is how a covert narcissist operates. They don't know reality versus fantasy. They make up their own version of reality and they live in it. And it's really scary to be with someone like this, because a lot of times you end up arguing with a person because you're arguing from different points of view. One person is arguing from a place of reality where things are factual, and then another person sees realities based on illusions, fantasies, storylines, narrative. And this is where the differences come from, and you guys have a lot of conflicts as a result of different points of view. One is completely in a fantasy land, the other one is a literal person. That's very important for you guys to understand this connection. There's actually a much longer list to help you guys understand, but I'm just giving you guys the key points so that way you can recognize some of the most important key attributes to recognize these people. Another one you want to pay attention to is gaslighting. Narcissists and covert narcissists, they do the same thing. If you catch them in a relationship crime, they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, and you catch them, they will lie and deny until their face turns blue, and they will never own up to it. They will never take accountability. Even though you show them the proof, even though the other person they're cheating on you confess and says things, they will still lie, deny until they croak over. This is how toxic their behavior is, okay? Now, let's go into the empaths. The empaths are the ones that are extremely nurturing, loving, generous, giving. They are a person that overextends too much. They're very empathic and very sensitive to energy. So they have very poor boundaries or no boundaries whatsoever. They're often putting other people's needs first ahead of their own. As a result, they have very low energy for themselves because they're constantly taking care of other people's needs, healing other people, fixing other people, doing a lot of good service for others. But then when it comes to themselves, they're not pouring to their cup, and they're selecting other people who they're servicing that are not able to reciprocate and pour back into their cup. So as a result, the sensitive energy being ends up being drained. They don't have any boundaries for themselves. They have low self-worth, low self-esteem. They can be very highly intuitive, but they are naive. As a result, they can be easily taken advantage of. They can be abused, lied, manipulated because they are not discerning. Their discernment is not very sharp. So as a result, they can be taken advantage by a covert narcissist. What happens is that empaths, they have a perception of reality where when they go around interact with other people, they perceive and they project who they are to other people. So when you're an empath, you're usually a very honest person and you're literal. And with this type of conscience, you go around, you're thinking everyone around you or everyone that you deal with is like you, that they are honest, they're literal, and they won't lie, they won't cheat, they won't deceive. So you have a very distorted perception of reality that you think other people are like this, but they're not like this at all, especially when you're dealing with a covert narcissist. What these covert narcissists do is they actually mirror you. So when you're talking to somebody and you're being authentic and you're being real and you're being vulnerable, a covert narcissist will actually mirror that energy. So you think you're dealing with somebody that's actually authentic, that's actually real, and they're being themselves, but you're not. You're actually dealing with a covert narcissist. That's what narcissists are very good at. They are chameleons. They will change their personality from person to person, and they will adjust themselves to their target. So if they see you as being a target and they like your energy, and they see you being naive and you're gullible, you have a good heart, you are kind, you're generous, you are a great aid source for this person. And what they do is they will mirror you. Okay? So an empath will have no discernment, very little experience with dealing with these type of narcissists, and as a result, they get lied to, they get used, they get abused, and as a result, they become extremely heartbroken. It's very traumatic to go through these type of experience, especially on the twin flame journey. When you're not a twin flame, these type of experiences are already very traumatizing. It damages the soul, but in a twin flame connection, it's even more traumatizing because the energy is magnified and it's extremely intense. So I'll give you an illustration. If someone were to do this to you and you're not a twin flame, you're not on this journey, it's going to be the equivalent of getting punched in the face. It's quite painful. But if your twin flame is doing that to you, it's going to be like getting hit by a truck. That's how devastating that feels. It's extremely painful because on a soul level, what's going through, what you're processing is that your soul, your other half, is betraying you in the most deep way. And it feels like your soul is being ripped apart. This is why it's so traumatic. The soul is being ripped apart. And you can't trust your twin flame anymore because they have completely destroyed the trust in their connection. And a lot of twin flames can't recover from this because it's very traumatizing. They don't know how to heal from this. Okay? So why is this important for me to tell and share this with you? It's because you're going to go through the dark night of the soul when these type of situation happens on your journey. You're bound to go through these experiences. I've met a lot of twin flame couples now. They just don't have awareness. Where are the challenges they're going to face and how they're going to be dealing with these challenges. So I'm giving you guys the preface, giving you the heads up that when you're going through these experiences, it's going to be very difficult for you to process these feelings. This journey, when you go through this dark night of the soul and your twin flame is doing all this stuff for you, not to you, but for you, it's going to either destroy you or you're going to put in the work and transform yourself to become another version of yourself, a stronger version of you. So the DF in this connection is usually the empath. If you put in the healing work and really learn the lessons, what your twin flame is here to teach you, it's going to help you transform to become this unevolved empath, which is naive, overextending, very generous, too caring, too giving. You're going to evolve to become a super empath. Now, what's the difference between a regular empath versus a super empath? A super empath is much more intuitive, more psychic, more telepathic, and empathic. They are more sensitive to energy. On top of that, they now have the discernment and the experience to recognize covert narcissists, the ones that are the most hardest to recognize. These ones are the most deceptive because they conceal their intentions. They are a chameleon. They mirror people's energy. Super empath can see right through all this. Okay, super empath are very bordered people, which means they have very strong boundaries for themselves. They don't allow other people into their boundaries, and they actually pre-qualify, pre-select people to allow them into their inner space. Not everybody can get into a super empath's inner circle or be called friend. They actually keep everyone as an acquaintance until that person demonstrates to be a trustworthy person. Then they will be allowed into the inner circle. But a lot of people are very naive. They make friends very easy. Super empaths are not like this. Okay, they allow themselves to be acquainted with people, but they are very selective with who they call as their friends, and they're super selective of who they actually let into their inner circle to be their support network or people that they provide support to. Because super empaths are extremely generous. They're very giving. They are powerful healers and teachers. They have a lot of wisdom, knowledge to offer to their friends and who they allow into their inner circle. They provide a tremendous amount of value to the people that they hold dear. This is why they are very selective of who they allow into their life. So the super empath is the evolved form of an empath because they have learned their lesson to love themselves, to put themselves first, to set boundaries, to protect themselves from being taken advantage of, to being abused, to be used, to be manipulated, to be lied. They have very high standard for themselves versus an empath, which has very low standard for themselves, which have very low self-worth. The super empath is the opposite. The super empath has very high standard. They talk in a totally different manner from an empath. An empath is weaker. They are very passive. They beat around the bush. They're not a direct communicator. They are very sensitive. So when you say things that might trigger them, they will completely be traumatized, discombobulated. They shut down, they run away, they hide, and they cry, okay? Because they can't process the trauma they're going through. A super empath, none of this is happening. They're completely healed. You can be very honest, very frank with a super empath. They can deal with honesty, authenticity, you being frank, you being 100% real with them and transparent. They actually prefer it that way. You will notice a super empath, they are very clear, direct communicator. They don't like people who beat around the bush. They don't like people who are talking in fantasies. They don't really like people who have a lot of opinions, because they tend to operate in reality, which is actually based on facts. They can differentiate between fantasy and reality, so they can they have no problem calling people out, which can be very intimidating for a lot of unhealed people, because people don't like to be called out. So a super empath will actually call people out and just be frank and just highlight and say things that may trigger another person if they are unhealed. So being around a super empath can be intimidating if you're unhealed, because their energy is quite powerful and they can say things that are honest, perceptive, and truthful about you, but then if you're unhealed, you will receive it and then it will just trigger your trauma, because it's hitting you at a soul level and now you're very traumatized. So I want to share with you this information so that way you understand now on this journey, it's going to really transform you. I have never seen the DM transform from a narcissist to become a higher version of themselves. Some of them may transform to become a self-aware narcissist, which means they have awareness of their mental health problem. They have awareness of some of the conditions, their limitations, deficiencies, but they haven't actually put in the work to completely heal themselves to become the higher version of themselves. A lot of them, they run away from doing this work. As soon as you confront them, you tell them the issues that they have, they're too traumatized that they don't want to process this, because they think you're name calling them. They think you are trying to do a character assassination. But even though what you're saying are actual factual thing, they prefer to live in diluted reality and not have to face those facts. This is a narcissist. They can't deal with facts and reality because it's too traumatizing for them. Hence, they have to escape to fantasy because it soothes their soul. It's easier to escape to live in a fantasy land than actually have to face reality, because reality is painful for a narcissist to deal with, okay? So this journey will either destroy you, keep you the same place, you'll be stuck in the same cycle over and over again, or it will transform you to become the highest, best version of yourself. So the empath will become a super empath. The narcissist, if they do this transformative work, maybe they become a more evolved version of themselves, which is going to be the divine masculine energy. But I've yet to see that myself personally. A lot of the DM I have talked to, consult with, as soon as I tell them their issues and the things they need to work on, they're already bolting for the door. They can't handle it. It's too traumatizing. They can't handle the truth. This twin flame journey is going to require you to heal all of your 4 bodies in order for you to reconnect to your higher self. You're going to need to heal your physical body, detox, heal, get rid of all the parasites, all the problems you have living in your physical body. You're going to have to heal your traumas that exist in your emotional body. You're going to have to heal your mental body, all the destructive, toxic patterns, belief system you have in your mental body, and then you're going to have to heal your spiritual body. Any type of entity attachment, demons, archons that's hanging in your auric field, they all need to be removed and cleared from your auric field. So this is an incredibly difficult journey. It's going to require a lot of work and guidance. I suggest, if you're very serious on healing yourself, visit my website, www.3d5d.com. I've created 2 membership areas to help twin flames and light workers do this work. You're going to need a lot of guidance, because if you don't get guidance, you're going to waste a lot of your time trying to figure out how to do this. So this information is going to at least give you some awareness of what you have to do. Where I come in, where I can help a lot of people accelerate their ascension journey, is I help people apply this information. So this is where I come in to really accelerate people's transformation and healing journey. So there's one side which is about the ascension side, which is going to help you deal with all of the common issues that you're going to face on your ascension journey, which is like learning the different type of egos you have, how to heal it, learning the different types of traumas and healing the traumas you're experiencing, overcoming poverty consciousness, for example. So these are some of the things that most people have issues with. There's a lot of content in that membership area which is going to be on the Ascension side. And then for twin flames, it's also suggested you go into the twin flame section, because that section also has very common issues that twin flames will have to deal with in order for them to transcend their consciousness, heal, and to become more self-aware and self-actualized. This journey requires everybody to learn things from a spiritual perspective. When you learn things from a spiritual perspective, you learn to see things from the soul's perspective. This is what's going to help you really transform and heal. Because if you don't change the perspective of how you see events and situations that's happened in your life, you're still going to have the 3D perspective and you're not going to be healed. Okay, you're still going to be triggered all the time. As soon as somebody says something that re-triggered that wound, you're going to be triggered again, you're going to be upset, and as a result, you're going to be traumatized. We don't want that to happen. True healing is when you are no longer being triggered and being reactive, which means, let's say one of your triggers is being disrespected. If somebody disrespects you, a truly healed person will no longer have a reaction. They don't care anymore. It doesn't even affect them anymore. They just dismiss it and disregard it because it doesn't bother them anymore. An unhealed person, if they are receiving any of that disrespect, it's going to be quite traumatic for them because it's hitting their self-worth wound. So this is why it's very important, you guys, to do this transformative work so you can be stronger, a better light worker, a better light warrior to do your mission down here. So if some of you want to join that membership area to get guidance and gain awareness and learn things from a spiritual perspective, visit my website, www.3d5d.com. Scroll to the bottom to sign up to become a member. All the newest videos are going to be at the bottom, okay? I want to thank you guys for tuning this broadcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next one. Take care. Bye-bye.